Good morning and welcome back to Hollow Creek Outdoors. Buck here with you. Oh, it's been a long night. It's crazy weather we all been. Everybody living here in the southeast is riding this roller coaster. Is it or isn't it? Best thing you can do is be prepared, and we've got, I think, about as best prepared as we can get. I was walking out here this morning to check on the chickens before I get into this video. They're doing quite well. They're liking the log. They seem to be liking their new run and pen. I need to get some straw Monday night though before all this hits. But yeah, we're probably in the last week. One of them little puppies has given us almost a dozen eggs. I think it's a little silky. See, the big Sean are a little silky, but yeah, we're about prepared as much as we can get. We got gas the other day because in the southeast down here where we're at, we get a 1/2 inch ice, we're out of power for about a week. So we better be prepared to cook outside on the grill, propane cooker, or we could break out the flat stone. Well, we got plenty of crappie fillets in the freezer. Got some dove breast hanging in there. I don't know if the wife's gonna like these meals I'm preparing for this outage, but they're gonna be quite delicious, at least in my mind. Look at that boat. Look how it's clean that. Oh, somebody touched my gel coat. My goodness. Oh, we spent yesterday down here washing this thing up, getting it ready for the new year. Hadn't washed it in a while since shellcracker season last year, and that's been a while back. Well, we cleaned it up a little bit, put a coat of wax on there. And the easiest thing to do that, if y'all got a fiberglass boat and you want to just shine it up periodically, let me get it out here. And we're not sponsored by these people, but this little quick clean stuff right here, go around your boat, mist it down, wipe it down, dry it off, polish it best you can. Don't need any soap, anything like that. Use that just to wipe it down, rub it down real good. Once you get it dry, come back with a coat of new finish. Now it says once a year. I'll probably do it 3 times a year, just depending on how bad the conditions get and what we do to it. But man, that stuff will make an older gel coat shine. I guess y'all can see that if I can get it down the light. But it really does a good job just to maintain a boat and keep it up. Now we still got to clean the carpet, we still got to clean the very inside of it, but the motor, the exterior of the boat, I think we're good to go for a little bit. What I was going to bring you down to today for was basically to give you insight on the beginner's guide to crappie fishing. I grew up crappie fishing with my dad, and that's why I swore I'd never, ever do it again. We drifted, we drug, I guess it's called long lining now, with minnows and jigs, and that's what my dad and granddad loved to do. My dad also got into jigging brush piles occasionally and stuff. That was when I was getting a little bit older in my teenage years, and I took off in the direction of bass fishing, never to look back. But as I'm getting older, Bowen's coming along, my nephew, we're looking just to have fun fishing. Don't fish tournaments anymore. Nephew still fishes a lot of bass tournaments, and you got to pull him away from them things. They're evil. They're evil. That's all for a whole nother video. But basically, we're out here just to have fun, and that's where the crappie come into play. That's where the shellcrackers come into play. Brim later, you know, going into the summertime. We had a ball last year catching those things. We put out a few videos on them. Didn't go into a lot of depth and detail, but I'm gonna try to this year. But it's more about it just seasonal fishing, going after what's in season. Crappies are in season right now. So are the big bass. Don't get me wrong. This year this time of year between coming out of December and then when you're coming out of February, especially in the south, you're going to see the big fish starting to pull in and feed before they back out and get ready to go on the beds. They'll make a movement forward and feed up, and then they'll back out while the small males come in and make the beds, and then they'll ease back in and bed. And again, another whole nother video, but it is a good time for that also. But right now it's a good time to catch crappie as they're pulling up staging. They're not quite heading for the hill. What I mean by the hill, they're not heading up for the bushes and stuff to start bedding, but they're starting to stage in this deeper water. All right, now that I got set down in a boat and have made a mess on the carpet, which should definitely have to be cleaned out now because my shoes are muddy from out there checking on the chickens. But the beauty of crappie fishing this time of year, it is pretty simplistic. And I'm no expert crappie fisherman, but this time of year you can target these things in deeper structure. Whether that be a stump, whether that be a laydown, whether that be a big brush pile, whether that be underneath a dock on the side of a creek bend. In the last few videos you have watched us using live scope. First time I ever used live scope in my life. It's a beauty of a technology when it comes when it comes to crappie fishing. I haven't got to use it during bass fishing, but so far in crappie fishing, it's not a must-have, but it is a definite help. And one of the biggest things, and especially in crappie fishing, is confidence. It's confidence in knowing that that fish is down on the structure or whatever you're fishing. It's knowing that they're there. A lot of us know where the structure is. We can pull right up on it. I can side scan it. I can 2D scan it and find it. But seeing those fish underneath there, on top of there, around it, it gives you the confidence to sit there and fish as slow as you're going to have to fish crappie fishing. A lot of times crappie fishing isn't something where you're constantly moving the rod. A lot of times it's drop it down and you're going to be holding the bait very, very still. Unlike I'm doing this camera right now because I don't have a mount to mount it to. But guys, to start off crappie fishing, and I'm going to use this time of year because that's where we are right now. And you can do it with several baits, and I'm gonna go over two different ways to target these crappie and how we've been targeting them so far this year. One is just a simple split shot rig, and when I say split shot rig, it's a medium size hook, usually the gold eagle claws. I call them shell cracker hooks. They're not very big, but they're not very small. Not what we'd use for brim fishing. But then we go up probably 12 to 16 to even 18 inches, depending on how skittish the crappie are, and you're gonna run a couple pieces of split shot. Now the split shot we use, I think these are 3/0, are very, very small split shot. I don't want anything that draws attention and takes away from my bait. Now, depending on the depth, depending on the wind, you may have to put 2 or 3 of these on. And when you put them on, don't jumble them up together like my son decides to do, but kind of scatter them out. Give them an inch or 2 in between just so it doesn't make a big profile down there in the water. You want that fish to see your bait, whether it be a minnow or whether it be a jig. And that leads me over to the other side that we use to target, or other technique that we use to target these fish with. What you saw me and TJ using more of was actual crappie jigs. I think everybody knows what a crappie jig is. If not, crappie jigs come in assorted styles, sizes, 5,000 different colors. You see what all I got laying in here, and these are ones that I've just tried in different areas. See if they'd bite them. If they didn't bite them, take them off and change them. And that's basically jig fishing until you get a handle on what they're doing. There's a lot of trial and error. You're gonna use certain color, give it a little bit, especially if you know the fish are there. Give it a little bit. If they don't bite it, change colors. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a drastic color change, sometimes it does, but unfortunately it's trial and error to figure out what these fish want to eat. And once you find that specific color, a lot of times the bite turns on really good. Now there's another component that goes into that, and it's still very simple. With crappie fishing, between the color changes, there's also head weight changes, jig head weights, and you can change them. And I usually run between 3. And they're right here. Usually anywhere between say a 64th up to a 16th. And then if the wind is really, really blowing, or the crappies are just really aggressive, I'll go to an 1/8 ounce. 1/8 ounce is as heavy as I will ever go. A lot of times more than none, I'll take the 16th or 64th, and I will add a split shot up above it. And that's basically to keep a smaller profile bait. If they're going after smaller profile, if they're being lethargic, not really wanting to eat, it keeps that smaller profile down there around the fish, but it still allows you to have the weight to get down to the fish. Because that's going to take us over into the next aspect of where we target these fish at. Where we've been targeting them at here for the last couple weeks is basically they're staging right out of the creek channel. I mean, actually with that live scope, we can see the channel, we can see where it comes up, and we're finding structure along that channel. So far, it's been at bridge pilings, brush piles. I think there was one lay down I got on the video in there, and just targeting those, going over them, seeing if the fish are there, and dropping down to them. Now, unfortunately, that's usually right now has been in the 25 to 30 foot range. We found, I think the biggest one TJ caught the other day was right at 2 pounds. It was 31, 32 where that brush pile finished out. It's topped out at around 23, 24. A lot of the others we were catching up underneath the bridges were around that mid 20 range. And the fish that we were catching we're down in them. Now, there were some fish suspended up top. They were up above the brush pile, off to the side of the brush pile in front of it, but they were suspended a little bit off the pile. But being it was so windy, we couldn't target the individual fish, not efficiently, so we were just getting out in the pile and fishing it. And that brings me, get back up out of the seat, that brings me to the last technique that we could utilize in this situation for these suspended fish. It's basically having a stop on your line and using a slip cork. It's a cork like this. Put the stopper in it. Run your line through the stopper. From there, you're going to tie your split shot on just like normal. Go up 16 inches above your hook. Tie it on. Let your cork slide down your line. But what you want to do is determine where in the water column, what depth range those fish are suspended in, and go up and you're going to put a bobber stop on your line. That way you can pitch it out, you can throw to the brush pile, it lets your bait go all the way down to get it to the depth range you want, and it stops. It allows you to be able to fish 10, 15, 20 feet deep, but when I reel back in, I've got 3 feet of line off the tip of my rod between the cork, the split shot, and the hook. That bobber stop allows that line to go through it and stop and sit on top of that bobber at whatever depth you set it at. And that's a pretty good technique for getting these suspended fish. Well, guys and gals, I hope these few tidbits will help you get out there and go catch some of these fish. They are very good eating fish. Probably one of the best freshwater fish that are out there to eat. And they're not that hard to catch. And I'm going to have a lot of crappie fishermen that disagree with me on that. But to go out and catch just some keeper-sized crappie, catch a nice little mess to take home and fry up or cook for the family, friends, they're not that hard. It does take patience. Crappie fishing is and I say it's slow. The fishing itself is not slow. What you're presenting to them, the presentation is slow. But I hope these tips help. Hope they get you on some fish, give you a chance to go catch some of these delicious, good eating delicacies. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. As always, stay safe. Thank y'all for your support. If you like the content, if it helped you out, hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. It is free, doesn't cost a thing. Thank goodness. Everything else costs too much. But God bless, and we'll catch y'all on the next outdoor adventure.